Hello children, I am Veena Bhargava, author of a textbook of ICSE Geography for class 10 published by Goyal Brothers Prakashan. In continuation with my previous 3 videos on interpretation of topographical survey sheets and video on guidelines for map pointing, I now present chapter-wise guidelines and suggestions to prepare for the part B of the ICSE board examination paper of geography based on my textbook. While preparing for the ICSE board examination, you should be aware of the format of the question paper. The revised specimen paper, as per that, part A of the question paper is compulsory, carrying 30 marks. Part B of the question paper consisting of text carries 50 marks. You have to attempt any 5 questions out of 9 carrying 10 marks each in the order of 2, 2, 3, 3 or 4 bits A, B, C and D. In the present video, I have given chapter-wise guidelines to prepare for the ICSE examination of geography based on the syllabus. You can see in the slide the content given in all. Now, we will discuss how to study chapter-wise while preparing for the examination. First of all, remember, Chapter 3 on location, extent and physical features of India is to be studied through map only. This has been covered in map pointing section. The fourth chapter on climate is very important. The name of our climate is tropical monsoon climate. Many recent questions are based on factors affecting climate of India. Hence, you must study the factors very well. The origin and mechanism of monsoon winds is related to the high pressure and low pressure. Hence, it must be understood well. Coriolis force or Ferrell's law should be clearly understood to know the movement of monsoon winds. The importance of monsoon winds and characteristic features are often asked in the examination. For example, for characteristic of southwest monsoon, you have to write these are seasonal winds. They are orographic, erratic, uneven and unpredictable in nature. It is important to use same keywords while writing the answers. While writing the 4 seasons, you must mention the months with full form like hot dry season from March to May and so on. While writing about the seasons, you must learn at least 3 characteristic features of each season. Local winds are very important. You have to know their location, name and their effects on crops. Specific questions are asked on these local winds like Kali Baisakhi and mango showers and their effect on crops. While attempting a question on interpretation of climatic data, you must learn to calculate the annual range of temperature, total rainfall and its impact on coastal regions. You should be able to identify the name of rain-bearing winds by looking at the rainfall data. The appropriate units must be written. For total rainfall, it should not be calculated mentally. You must write it down and then add to avoid any mistake. To study the climate of India, you must make use of maps. For example, you should refer to physical map of India to understand how Aravallis lie parallel to the rain-bearing winds and get very little rainfall. You must write the differences in tabular form with corresponding points on either side. You should be clear about the direction of the northeast monsoon and retreating monsoon, their origin, direction and impact. You must study about the difference between monsoon winds and land and sea breezes. You should develop a skill to answer application-based reason questions. You must learn to write answers to the point, emphasizing on key words. In chapter on soils, you have to study only 4 types of soils: alluvial soil, red soil, black soil and laterite soil. Each one of them must be studied under the heading origin, characteristics, composition, color and texture, fertility, suitability for crops and distribution in areas and states. To understand the origin of soils, You must revise the topic on rocks, igneous and metamorphic rocks. The physical characteristics relate to the color, texture, and moisture retentivity of soil, while chemical characteristics relate to the chemical composition of the soil. Example, the physical property or characteristic of laterite soil is that they are hard and can be used as valuable building material, whereas chemical property or composition is that they are rich in iron and lack in magnesium, potash, and phosphoric acid. Mostly, the questions on soils are asked on their characteristic, composition, color, and fertility. Remember, the red soil is having red color due to ferric oxide or iron oxide and not due to iron. The differences must be written in a tabular form. You must remember that the location is not considered as characteristic. The area, state, and regions are different. You should be aware of it. The difference between in situ for black soil and ex situ being alluvial or transported soil must be clearly understood. You must learn to explain terms and definitions correctly. Use the correct geographical terms. Example, emphasize on the words riverine, transported, varying texture, lower and upper course, etc. The keywords given at the back of the lesson are important. Example, leaching, etc. Soil erosion and soil conservation are very important topics. You must learn the difference between the causes and agents of soil erosion like wind and running water and the conservation methods that are used for them. Learn the agents of soil erosion, including man, along with his role in the same. Explain the advantages of desilting and how it helps in controlling floods and, in turn, reduces soil erosion. You should use correct terminology and write precise answers using right keywords. While preparing the lesson on natural vegetation, first of all, you have to study the importance of forests as a resource. You have to study each type of vegetation under the given headings in the book. Climate, including temperature and rainfall, area and state where it is found, characteristic features, and the type of trees found in each type of vegetation with their uses. Example, tropical evergreen forests found on the western part of Western Ghats are characterized by climbers and epiphytes. Their species are rosewood, sesame, and gurjan. Rosewood is used for expensive furniture. You should study in tabular form the difference between conditions for growth of all types of natural vegetation belts found in India, their characteristic features, and species of trees with their uses. You must learn the difference between tropical evergreen forests and tropical deciduous forests in a tabular form. Sometimes questions are asked on importance of forests, conservation of forests, and national policy. You must learn the difference between afforestation, reforestation, agroforestry, and social forestry. You must pay special attention to the reason questions. You must practice them from previous year question papers. You must write the answers to the point in complete sentences. In the chapter on water resources, one has to study particularly the difference between surface water and groundwater and their sources. The difference question must be written in tabular form. You must learn the need for irrigation in India as given in the book. You must know the difference between the traditional and modern means of irrigation along with the advantages and disadvantages of both the categories. Often questions are asked on their topic. You must learn the methods of irrigation, canals, tanks, wells, and tube wells. They must be learned under the headings like their favorable conditions for construction, their advantages and disadvantages, and areas or states where they are in practice. Modern methods like drip irrigation and sprinkler methods should be explained using the images. You must learn their advantages and disadvantages. You must give emphasis on application-based reasoning questions. You must prepare short notes and tables for revision. General questions may be asked on the water crisis faced by India and its reasons. Specific questions are asked on the two types of canals along with the advantages and disadvantages of both the types. You must learn to write specific, to the point answers. The lesson on minerals has numerous facts to be learnt. Hence, you must prepare your own notes and tables on the lesson. You should study the distribution of minerals with help of maps and pictures. You must learn the largest producer of each mineral and at least three important uses of each mineral which is given in the scope of syllabus. You should be clear about the difference between offshore and onshore oil fields with example and location. The application-based reason questions are very important. Solve the previous year questions so that you are able to give to the point answers. For example, to the question why petroleum is considered as liquid gold, you can say that petroleum is a versatile mineral. It generates power that is used as fuel and it is also used as raw material for the petrochemical industries. Its byproducts like kerosene are very useful. Not even the smallest part of the crude oil goes waste or remains unused. Therefore, because of its high economic value, it is called liquid gold. You must clarify the fact that Mumbai is on the western coast and has refinery Mumbai High in the Arabian Sea. It is offshore oil field which has the platform rig named Sagar Samrat. Hence, oil fields must be learnt along with their location. You can use maps to learn them. You must learn the importance, uses, and characteristic features of each mineral. Example, manganese is used in iron and steel industry as it makes steel strong, removes impurities, and makes it immune to rusting. You must learn at least three mines and the states where they are located for each mineral. You must strictly follow the scope of syllabus while revising. In Mineral and Energy Resources Part 2, you have to study the difference between conventional and non-conventional resources. In conventional resources, you have to study only coal, petroleum and natural gas. These you have to study under the headings types, distribution, areas, advantages and disadvantages. You can study them in tabular form. In hydropower, Bhakra Nangal Dam and Hirakud Dam have to be done under the heading location, dams and benefits. Non-conventional sources of power are solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, nuclear and biogas. These have to be learnt as per their generation, advantages and disadvantages of each source of power. Agriculture is a very vast topic and you must learn it in two parts. First of all, you must study the importance of agriculture in India, its salient features, green revolution, problems and types of farming in India. The three main crop seasons, Kharif, Rabi and Zaid must be learned along with their definitions. You must learn examples of the crops grown in each cropping season. Example, rice, maize, jowar, bajra, cotton, sesame, groundnut, pulses and jute are grown in Kharif season. Wheat, barley, gram, oilseeds and tobacco are grown in Rabi season. Some crops like rice, maize, groundnut, vegetables and fruits are grown in Zaid season. Often questions are asked on types of farming in India. Example, subsistence farming, commercial farming and difference between the two. The difference questions must be written in tabular form. Same applies to plantation farming and mixed farming, etc. You must study the types of farming very well. In the second part of agriculture, you must study the methods of cultivation, which are very important. Example, broadcasting, dibbling, drilling, and transplantation. All the methods must be studied and you must know with which crops they are associated. Example, wheat is grown by all the three methods, broadcasting, dibbling, and drilling, whereas Rice is grown by transplantation method. You must study the comparative study of transplantation and Japanese method of cultivation in tabular form for rice. You must learn the differentiation between food crops and cash crops. The main food crops are rice, wheat, millets, pulses, whereas main cash crops are fiber crops like cotton and jute, beverages like tea and coffee, oilseeds and sugarcane. You must learn about the economic importance of all the cash crops. Food crops like pulses are very important to grow as it is source of protein. They are leguminous crop. It replenishes soil fertility and fixes nitrogen in the soil. Each crop must be studied strictly as per the scope of syllabus under the specific headings as given in the book. Example, cropping season, types and varieties, soils, climatic requirements including temperature and rainfall, methods of cultivation, harvesting and processing, diseases, problems and areas of production. Tables and charts must be prepared to learn the above points for each crop. Differences between geographical conditions and climatic conditions should be clearly understood. If geographical conditions are asked for a crop, you must state the temperature, rainfall, and soil condition. But if only climatic condition is asked, you must mention only temperature and rainfall. You must learn the correct range of temperature and the rainfall requirement of crops. Example, for wheat temperature required is 10 degree to 15 degree centigrade and rainfall from 50 centimeter to 100 centimeter. Hence, temperature must be mentioned by range and not by single unit. You must study the crop distribution in states with help of visual aids and maps. Sometimes picture of a particular crop like cotton plant or tea plucking in tea garden is given. You have to identify the picture and answer the questions based on the associated crop. You must read the question carefully. If two questions are asked in one question, answers should be written separately for each. Definitions of geographical terms like rating, chinning, and ratuning must be learned very well. You must write the answer to the point using correct geographical terms. In this chapter on manufacturing industries, you should know the need for rapid industrialization in India. In this lesson, you have to study only three agro-based industries, including sugar, cotton, textile, and silk. Whereas in mineral-based industry, you have to do integrated steel plants like Tata Steel, Bhilai, Rourkela, and Visakhapatnam. Other industries like petrochemical and electronics are also very important. You must study the favorable factors for each industry very well. For each industry, you must know from where it gets its raw material, power supply, water supply, transport facility, labor supply, and state and city where it is located. A question may be asked on each industry based on these factors. You must study the classification of industries and difference between agro-based and mineral-based industries in tabular form. You must learn the problems related to each industry. You must know the names of important centers for each industry. You should be able to differentiate between center of an industry and state where it is located. The mini steel plants are very important. You must know their definitions, functioning, advantage and disadvantages of mini steel plants. You must know the difference between an integrated steel plant and a mini steel plant. An integrated steel plant is one where all the three processes from melting of iron ore in the blast furnace to steel making followed by shaping of the metal by rolling are carried on under one complex. On the other hand, mini steel plants are decentralized secondary units. In case of petrochemical industry, you must learn to explain with examples the meaning of petrochemical products and their raw materials. You must know the reasons for popularity of petrochemical products and the reasons for shifting from traditional raw materials to petrochemical products. Example, from jute fiber to synthetic fiber and steel pipes to PVC pipes. In sugar industry, the three byproducts must be studied thoroughly along with its problems. Example, molasses for fertilizer, bagasse as raw material for paper industry, and pressed mud for making wax and shoe polish. This chapter on transport relates to your day-to-day life. You have to study about the different means of transport, roadways, railways, airways, and waterways with their advantages and disadvantages. In roadways, you have to know about the difference between expressways and national highways, its importance, road network, golden quadrilateral, and their problems. The objective of golden quadrilateral is to reduce time and distance. It is a highway network connecting many major industrial, agricultural, and cultural centers of India. It forms a quadrilateral connecting Delhi in the north, Kolkata in the east, Mumbai in the west, and Chennai in the south. For railway network, you must study the following points: its importance, types of railway gauges, problems, advantages and disadvantages as compared to other means of transport. A comparative study may be done in tabular form. Areas also must be studied in terms of importance, problems, advantages and disadvantages as compared to other means of transport. Waterways must be studied in two ways. One is inland waterways and coastal shipping. You must know the five national waterways and their problems, advantages and disadvantages. You must know the characteristics of rivers of North and South India to understand why South Indian rivers are not ideal for inland transport. You should answer in 2 points as this question carries 2 marks. For example, South Indian rivers are seasonal in nature. They have rapids and waterfalls and cataracts. You should study the aspects of coastal shipping. It is one of the most economical, fuel saving and environment friendly network. You must study its problems and advantages. It is very important that you write the answers according to the number of marks allotted to the question. Waste accumulation is a very common topic related to your day-to-day life. You must learn about source of waste, their types and methods of their safe disposal. You must study about impact of waste accumulation, spoilage of landscape, pollution, health hazards, effect on terrestrial, aquatic, freshwater and marine life. You should study about need for waste management, methods of safe disposal, segregation, dumping and composting. You must be clear about the concepts of reduce, reuse and recycling of waste by giving appropriate examples. You must pay more attention to reasoning questions. You should learn important definitions, geographical terms, and associated activities related to them. Example, eutrophication, biomagnification, etc. As very often such terms are asked to explain in the deep part of the question. Correct definition or explanation is required to score full marks. You must learn specifically the impact of waste accumulation on the quality of air and water, effect of decomposition of waste in open areas on human health, different methods of waste disposal and their advantages with examples. You must also learn the disadvantages of using synthetic products relating it to present environmental issues faced by our country. You must write the answers to the point and use correct geographical terms while explaining a concept. Finally, in conclusion, I have some suggestions for the students preparing for ICSE board examination in geography. Prepare your own notes, charts, tables, and other study material after the discussion of the topic in the class. Do not depend on selective study. Scope of syllabus must be followed strictly for all the topics. Solve previous year's questions, topic-wise, given at the end of each chapter under self-study in your book. Practice answering questions based on Survey of India map. Practice the map regularly to maintain accuracy of location. Fasten the map properly inside the answer book. Clarify all your doubts about any topic related to the syllabus before the examination from your teacher. While attempting the question paper, use the 15 minutes reading time judiciously to make a proper choice of questions by reading the requirement of questions carefully. Choose the questions in which you are sure of answering all the parts. Read the question paper thoroughly before answering. Manage the time well. Do not spend more than 20 minutes for questions on topo sheet. You must do it in order and take each question as you do to avoid missing any. The rest of the time must be divided accordingly as the theory and map questions are equally important and need your full concentration. Answer every question to the point and be precise. Long drawn out explanations are not required at all. Write the key words in answers very clearly. Leave a line after every answer. Write the question numbers correctly and do each question in order. Write neatly and legibly. Read the questions very carefully, not only before but also after writing the answers to avoid missing any part. Number of points for each answer should be in accordance with the number of marks allotted. Do not answer extra questions unnecessarily. Concentrate on the questions you need to attempt. Write answers point-wise. Read through the paper after completion to avoid mistakes. Learn and revise each concept thoroughly before the examination to gain confidence. Finally, stay calm and composed. Tackle the paper to the best of your ability. All the best.